Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. On the eve of the college entrance exam, a fire broke out at our school. To save my childhood friend Jason, I suffered severe burns and had to amputate my right hand. Later, he knelt before me with his admission letter to Harvard, vowing to treat me well for the rest of his life. Yet, 2 years later, just as I had adjusted to life with one hand and everything seemed to be returning to normal, he set me on fire in my sleep. He said, "If you hadn't saved Lily, I wouldn't have lost her, so you can go to hell and keep her company." When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back at the scene of the fire before the college entrance exam. "Emma, let's switch seats, okay? I have a question for Jason," Lily said, coyly twisting her body as her cheeks flushed red. I raised my head and saw the countdown to the exam written on the blackboard. Everyone was dressed in identical school uniforms. Next to me sat Jason, my childhood friend who had grown up with me. Realizing I had been reborn, I gasped for air as if I had just emerged from drowning. "Emma, what's wrong?" "Fine, if you don't want to switch, we won't switch." "Don't scare me like that. I'm easily frightened," Lily said, pouting. Lily always spoke in this clawing tone. Jason glanced at me with slight disapproval. "Emma, stop making a fuss," he said without hesitation. I stood up and switched seats with Lily. "You sit here for the next class," I said plainly. After all, the fire from my past life was about to happen again. Sitting in Lily's seat, I pretended to focus on my workbook, though my mind was racing as I processed my rebirth. My heart pounded like a drum, and the tip of my pen pressed so hard into the paper that it left dents. Compared to the impending fire, Jason's constant glances at me were nothing. Suddenly, I stood up and shouted, "Fire! There's going to be a fire! Everyone run!" I couldn't explain how I knew, but in my previous life, apart from the three of us, everyone else had escaped unharmed. The classroom erupted into chaos as the fire alarm blared, and someone screamed, "Fire!" Everyone began to flee just like before. Jason tightly held on to Lily's hand as they ran. I followed closely behind them, watching as Lily stumbled and hit her head against the staircase railing with a loud thud, losing consciousness. Jason tripped and fell shortly after, and the fire quickly spread behind them. In my past life, I had summoned all my strength to drag Jason out, but I couldn't save Lily, who perished in the fire. This time, however, I stayed calm, observing the situation and realizing that Lily's death was Jason's fault. He ran too fast and Lily couldn't keep up. If he hadn't clung to her, she might not have fallen. After rushing out with the crowd, I turned back to look at the raging flames and grabbed a firefighter. "There are 2 students on the 3rd floor who have fallen. Please save them." As the firefighter rushed in, I fainted on the spot. Although I hated Jason, I didn't want him to die. Watching him suffer a fate worse than death was much more satisfying. Many students were hospitalized due to smoke inhalation, but only Jason and Lily were severely injured. Doctors, parents, and teachers moved in and out of the hospital in waves. Jason's parents cried hysterically outside his room. How could the school fail to protect our son? His right hand has to be amputated, and with only 2 months until the college entrance exam, how is he supposed to write? His mother sobbed. Lily's parents, equally distraught, lamented. Our daughter was pursuing an art career, and now there's a huge scar on her neck. I pulled the blanket over my head, trying to block out the memories of Jason berating me in my past life. How could you be so selfish? Just because you like me and I like Lily, you chose not to save her. Emma, I could never love a woman as vicious as you. When Lily woke up, she couldn't accept her scars and had several breakdowns in the hospital. Jason, on the other hand, regained consciousness 3 days later. For some reason, they were placed in the same hospital room. I happened to see Jason awkwardly holding Lily with his left arm. "Don't worry, this scar is just heavens jealous of your beauty, leaving their mark on you," he said gently. I was too proud before, planning to confess my feelings after the exam. "Lily, I like you too. We've been through so much together. It only proves how true my feelings are. No matter what, I'll always love you." I laughed. Jason seemed to have forgotten about the burn on his own face, which now looked just as disfigured as mine had in my past life. Repulsive and pitiful it appeared. Lily hadn't forgotten, as this was the first time I didn't hear her respond to Jason. 2 days later, Most of the students had recovered and were discharged. While waiting in the parking lot with my dad to go home, I heard sobbing. I turned to see Lily clinging to a man, crying bitterly. "Please don't leave me. I've talked to my mom. Once my scars heal, I'll get skin grafts. Don't break up with me, okay? My face isn't that bad," she pleaded. The man, who looked young, pushed her away roughly. "Don't think I don't know you've been flirting with pretty boys at school. You disgust me. Get lost." "Isn't that one of your classmates?" my dad asked curiously. I smiled and turned away. "Not Jason, he's Harvard and Stanford material. He wouldn't act like that." But I knew better. Jason might be brilliant, but he was hopelessly love-struck. This time, with his right hand gone, who knew if he'd still make it to Harvard or Stanford? The college entrance exam loomed closer as our school relocated. Jason, now bandaged and looking like a tragic hero, sat next to Lily. They seemed a perfect pair, both scarred. During meals, Lily fed Jason bite by bite. Some classmates teased, "You're like a disaster recovery couple." Lily blushed and didn't deny it, making Jason eat even more. I silently praised the classmate who made the remark. Jason's stiff expression was telling. In my past life, my injuries were far worse and I missed the exam, having to repeat a year. Jason, a genius, praised. Since childhood, I excelled in Olympia math and English competitions. Would such a prodigy ever repeat a year? I lowered my eyes and quickened my pace as I worked on practice problems. No matter how Jason performed this time, I was determined to exceed expectations. On Saturday, when I went home, Jason's mother was at our house, her face full of worry as she sighed endlessly when she saw me. It was as if she'd found a lifeline. "Emma, can you help me convince Jason to retake the year?" "He listens to you," she pleaded desperately. I raised an eyebrow, almost letting my sarcasm show. Now she was coming to me for help. Our families were neighbors, and Jason's mother had practically watched me grow up. In my previous life, after my accident, she had cried and knelt before my mom, saying that once we were of legal age, she would ensure Jason married me to repay my kindness for saving him. But 2 years later, I'd overheard her countless times on the phone with Jason. "Son, you're a Harvard student now. Make sure you find someone good over there." It's not like we're ungrateful to Emma, but she should understand her place. Think about how much our family has done for her these past 2 years. How could a disabled person like her stand next to you? This family sure had a way of switching faces. Looking at her tearful expression now, I pulled my hand back. "Auntie, Jason is very obedient. You should talk to him yourself," I said coolly. After sending Jason's mother away, my mom was visibly upset with me. "Emma, are you distancing yourself from Jason just because he's injured?" she scolded. I chuckled bitterly and bluntly told her, "Jason will never retake the year." On Monday, as expected, Jason and Lily got into a fight during the long break. Neither of them had to run laps, so their argument echoed through the classroom. "Jason, listen to what you're saying. Retake the year? You want me to go to college alone? I won't accept a long-distance relationship." Lily snapped. Jason pressed his lips tightly together, his face as pale as a sheet. "But Lily, next year I'll definitely get into your city. Okay? I've already asked the doctor. I won't be able to get a prosthetic in 2 months. Standing outside, I could see Lily sneer as she rolled her eyes. She turned and leaned into Jason's arms, lightly stroking the wound on his arm. "But Jason, you're a genius. It's 2 whole months. Can't you just write with your left hand? Don't blame me. I just really want to go to college with you. We're only young once. I don't want us to have any regrets," she said sweetly. Jason's dim eyes sparkled again as he gripped Lily's hand tightly, desperation written all over his face. "Really, Lily? You truly don't mind my arm?" he asked eagerly. Their overly saccharine exchange was too much for me to bear. I knocked on the door and said, "Sorry to interrupt, the teacher asked me to grab his microphone." Jason's gaze avoided mine for no apparent reason while Lily smirked as if showing off. I wasn't in the mood for petty squabbles. What I truly wanted, what I wanted in this life was to see how their story would end. Jason actually started practicing writing with his left hand. However, his progress was slow. During the 3rd practice exam, he didn't finish the test in time. Even so, his score still hovered around the middle of the class. Teachers repeatedly talked to him, But every time he returned to sit beside Lily, their words seemed to vanish into thin air. Meanwhile, I buried myself in my studies, and life moved forward steadily until, on the eve of the college entrance exam, a parent-teacher conference descended into chaos when Jason's and Lily's mothers got into a fight in front of everyone. I knew my son wouldn't retake the year no matter what. "Just look at what your daughter has been saying to him," Jason's mother shouted, waving notes the two had exchanged in class. "Everyone, judge for yourselves what kind of person threatens someone with a breakup to stop them from retaking the year. We've spent years raising our kids for this exam, and now this." Half the parents sympathized with Jason's mother. However, Lily's mother sneered. "Your son's just useless, blindly chasing after my daughter like a lapdog. Whatever my daughter says, he listens to. And honestly, with his arm gone and his face burned, who else would even want him? My daughter's the only fool who doesn't mind." The phrase "his arm gone" made Jason's mother's face turn red with rage. The two women started wrestling right there in the classroom, toppling several desks. Uninterested in the spectacle, I headed to the schoolyard to memorize vocabulary. From the corridor, I could still hear Jason and Lily flirting. Remembering the chaos in the classroom, I casually remarked, "Your parents are fighting in the classroom." Jason frowned, about to ask for details, but Lily stopped him. She positioned herself between us, looking me up and down. "Emma, I know you like Jason, but there's no need to make up excuses just to talk to him. Jason is my boyfriend." Surprised? "He even lost an arm to save me, and you, what are you compared to that?" she taunted. I couldn't listen to her nonsense any longer. "Your notes got discovered. If you don't go now, you might have to pick them up from the police station," I interrupted flatly. The two of them exchanged a glance before sprinting back to the classroom. I didn't pay attention to what happened next, but the incident quickly became the hottest gossip in school. Jason and Lily were now used as cautionary tales for other students. Even my mom, during dinner, subtly tried to remind me of propriety. "Emma, you don't have any close relationships at school, right?" she asked. I nearly choked on my rice. In my last life, I had been burned alive because of so-called love. How could I let history repeat itself in this life? Though Mom seemed to understand, now wasn't the time to discuss it further. Before I could say more, loud crashing noises came from next door. Our apartment had walls, and every sound from upstairs or downstairs was crystal clear. "Jason, you must retake the year. He spent over a decade raising you. You're going to throw it all away for a girl?" His mother yelled. "If you insist on not retaking the year, I'll consider you no longer my son. Even if you get into college, don't expect a single penny from me for tuition." Then came a loud bang of a door slamming shut. It seemed Jason had run away from home. My parents exchanged worried glances. "What's wrong with that boy? He used to be so obedient. How did he turn out like this?" Finishing the last bite of my meal, I went back to my room. I wasn't the least bit surprised by Jason's dramatic behavior. If he were truly calm and rational, my rebirth in this life would lose much of its meaning. Jason and I ended up assigned to the same exam center. When we crossed paths outside the testing site, I noticed he had lost a significant amount of weight. I intended to ignore him, but he unexpectedly stepped in front of me. "Emma," he called softly. I took a small step back, my tone indifferent and distant. "What do you want?" His empty sleeve swayed in the breeze, and for a moment, I saw a reflection of my past self in him. A person consumed by love doesn't have a happy ending. He wasn't much different from the person I used to be. "If you have something to say it quickly. The exam is about to start," I said. His only remaining hand clenched into a fist, and the once bold and confident Jason now hung his head low. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. I blinked, surprised, and after confirming I hadn't misheard, I chuckled. "I know you like me," he added hesitantly, "but I still love Lily." I didn't respond, feeling more amused than anything. Even at this point, his mind was still entangled in romantic concerns. That apology, while something he owed me, wasn't even for the right reasons. Once the exam began, I threw myself into the questions, filling every answer sheet completely. But when the test was over, I noticed that Jason once again hadn't finished. His essay was left incomplete. I caught a glimpse of him slamming his thigh in frustration. But what did it matter? The moment he stepped out of the exam room, he ran straight to Lily. I stood outside, letting the sunlight and breeze wash over me. At that moment, I had a strong sense that in this life, I would shine just as brightly as the sun. After the exams, my parents took me on a trip. We explored the misty rain of Jiangnan, rejuvenating both body and mind. When the preliminary results came out, my entire family huddled around the phone. Seeing my score 702, we erupted in cheers. "Good, good, good," my dad exclaimed, saying it 3 times in a row before proudly screenshotting my results and posting them in our family group chat. The Chun family must have ancestors blessing us. My daughter is Tsinghua and peeing university material. My mom pretended to glare at him but couldn't hide her smile. The two of them busily discussed which college I should choose, though the calls from Tsinghua and peeing university quickly followed. I resolutely chose Tsinghua, and my family, elated, prepared to return home. But upon arrival, we discovered chaos had erupted. Next door, Jason had been the top student since freshman year, the star of our grade and the school's representative in numerous competitions. He was practically guaranteed a spot at Tsinghua or Peking University. His accident before the exams had only heightened curiosity about whether he could still secure first place. But someone leaked Jason's exam results online. 463 points, enough for only a second-tier college. Alongside this was a video of a reporter interviewing him after the exam. In the video, Jason's right sleeve fluttered in the wind as the reporter asked, "Jason, how do you feel about your performance? Many people are concerned about your recovery and are curious why you chose not to retake the year." Before Jason could answer, Lily appeared, throwing her arms around his shoulders. "Because Jason didn't want to have a long-distance relationship with me," she declared cheerfully. The video, less than a minute long, quickly went viral, turning Jason and the topic of high school relationships into hot gossip. By the time we got home, reporters were swarming our building. Unable to find Jason, they pointed their cameras at me instead. "Miss, we heard you and Jason grew up together. What do you think about his decision to take the exam? Did you know about his relationship with Lily?" Surrounded by cameras, I had no choice but to answer. "Lily is Jason's choice. It's not our place to interfere." After that, my parents forcefully pushed through the crowd, dragging me back into the house. Not long after, shouting erupted from Jason's home. Meanwhile, my parents and teachers were busy helping me choose schools. While they were occupied, I watered the plants on the balcony, only to glance over and see Jason standing on his balcony. He stared at me, his lips moving as if to say something, before holding up his phone in frustration. I smirked. 2 months ago I had blocked him. It seemed he hadn't realized yet. Public opinion continued to escalate. The once promising prodigy had now become a cautionary tale. Late at night, ambulances had already been to Jason's house several times. I heard his mother had fallen ill from the stress. I paid no attention to the aftermath. After submitting my college application, I enrolled in art classes. Drawing had been a childhood passion of mine, and now I finally had time to pursue it again. On summer evenings, I could finally paint sunsets by the seaside. I sketched all kinds of people and scenes, living the life I had dreamed of in my past life. Having experienced disability, I cherished the present even more. Every stroke of my brush brought endless possibilities. I didn't expect Jason and Lily to appear before me again. "Emma, what a coincidence." Lily greeted me with a bright smile, pulling Jason close by the arm. She leaned in boldly to peek at my sketchbook. "Wow, even the class genius is developing high hobbies now." "Jason, sit down. Let Emma draw us a picture." Her overfamiliar tone left me speechless. Less I had avoided conflicts with them in this life simply because I wanted peace, but Lily had always been a wolf in sheep's clothing. Before the fire, she had often thrown veiled insults my way. I put down my brush and smiled faintly. "Sorry, I don't draw trash." Lily's smile faltered, but she quickly leaned against Jason's shoulder. "What should we do, Jazz?" she asked sweetly. I could almost smell the sourness of jealousy in the air. "Someone still has feelings for you, don't they? Too bad you're mine now," Lily teased, her voice dripping with false sweetness. I couldn't help but shake my head. In my past life, my biggest mistake had been treating a block of wood like a pearl, leading to my tragic death. Even if Jason threw himself at me now, I wouldn't take him. Isn't that right, Jason? Lily bit her lip and pinched Jason's arm in a show of dominance. Jason hesitated for a moment before nodding. Yes. Watching their clownish display, I found them more laughable than anything else. I packed up my sketchbook and added calmly, "Your boyfriend is all yours for life. Just remember though, he only has one good arm left. Don't ruin it with all that pinching." Jason's eyes flickered with disbelief and hurt, as if he couldn't comprehend that I would bring up his injury so coldly. Sharing my sketchbook, I walked away. Lily, however, chased after me and grabbed my arm. "What are you so proud of?" she snapped. "Just because you scored as the state's top student, don't tell me you think you're too good for our class reunion." I brushed her hand off my arm. "I'll be there on the day of the reunion." Lily arrived dressed to impress, but the former campus queen had clearly fallen from grace. Naturally, there were plenty of people eager to step on her while she was down. It was as if the entire class had conspired beforehand, taking turns pouring drinks for Jason. "Jason, the great genius, you used to look down on all of us, didn't you? Now look, we're all sitting at the same table." "One of them," Jared said. Jason's face turned a deep shade of gray. In the past, he had maintained a cool, aloof persona coupled with his handsome, studious demeanor. His peers had seen him as an untouchable idol, but now, with one arm gone and his grades slipping, any attempt at being aloof would only make him seem pretentious. "Sorry, I've had too much. I can't drink anymore," Jason said, raising a shaky glass. Another classmate staggered up, laughing loudly. "What's wrong, genius? You're not driving home, are you? Oh wait, even if you passed your driver's test, would the police let you drive with one arm?" Jason, furious, tried to slam the table, but Lily held him back. "Jason, they're just toasting you out of respect. Just drink," she cooed softly. Jason clenched his fist on the table, his knuckles white. I said nothing, watching silently. This was the pure, untouchable love he had cherished so deeply in our past life. Lily noticed my smile and clapped her hands loudly to draw everyone's attention. "Let's not waste this rare opportunity to gather together. How about we make some professions tonight? After all, high school only happens once. We can't leave any regrets behind." Her gaze was pointed, her words directed at me. Everyone turned toward me knowingly. My childhood crush on Jason had been an open secret, and now it seemed like the perfect time for them to prod the wound. "Come on, Emma, be brave," someone chimed in. I met Lily's playful, mocking gaze and felt a flicker of irritation. Why did she insist on dragging me into their drama, even as they flaunted their relationship? Keeping my composure, I said, "Fine, you're right. I do have someone I like." Jason's head snapped up at my words, his eyes flickering with a trace of hope, but I was determined to extinguish that light. "In the past, I was a bit naive," I continued. "I fell for an older guy who didn't even attend our school." Jason's expression stiffened, and his proud posture wilted. The room erupted into whistles and laughter. "Who is it? Let us see." Smiling, I pulled out my phone and walked over to Lily. "Lily, you might recognize him." I watched her smile freeze as I displayed a photo of her tearfully clinging to another man in the parking lot. Jason glanced over just in time to see the image, and Lily hurriedly snatched my phone, flipping it face down on the table. "Why so dramatic, Lily?" I asked with a smirk. "Jason's not enough for you? Or are you thinking about trading up?" Lily forced a calm smile and grasped Jason's hand. "Of course not." For the rest of the meal, Lily stayed unusually quiet, her earlier antics completely subdued. When I got home, I received a flurry of frantic texts from her. "What are you trying to do? Why do you have that photo? That was in the past. It doesn't count. You better not show Jason or I'll kill you." Rolling my eyes, I added her to my block list. Threats at her age, really? The man in the photo had dyed hair in every color of the rainbow. Only Lily could have considered him a catch. 2 days later, I received a friend request from Jason. He asked, "Who's the guy from outside school?" I scoffed. Typical men's insatiable greed never changes. I ignored the message and went to the supermarket with my mom instead. With the new school year starting, I didn't want to see or hear from Jason and Lily anymore. On the day of my university orientation, my parents accompanied me to campus. They insisted on helping me settle in but refused to go any further. "Hurry up and go," my dad said with a wave. Your mom and I are finally free of our little burden. Time for some peace and quiet. Your dad and I can finally enjoy our own little world," Mom teased. I sighed, saying goodbye with a laugh, only to turn around and see them crying as they hugged each other at the gate. Everything about university life was new and exciting. In my previous life, I had never made it this far. After retaking the college entrance exam, I died in the fire before I could start school. Back then, every time I tried to visit Jason's university, he'd always brush me off. "Emma, you're terrible with directions. If you get lost on campus, I wouldn't be able to find you," he'd say with a laugh. Later, I overheard him decline an invitation to a group dinner. Emma doesn't like big gatherings, he had told his friends. I knew he resented me for having one arm. This time, I stepped onto Tsinghua's campus with my own 2 feet. Is it big? Yes, the campus was enormous. But I wasn't going to get lost, neither physically nor in the temptations of this vast, dazzling world. After the military training ended, I mustered the courage to run for a class committee position. To my surprise, I was elected class president. From then on, my life became incredibly busy, filled with studies and student duties. I barely had the time to think about Jason or Lily anymore. But one day, an unexpected text shattered my peaceful routine. "Emma, meet me at the school gate." I replied with a question mark, but there was no further response. Thinking it was a prank by one of my dorm mates, I reluctantly went to the school gate, and there he was, Lily's ex-boyfriend, unmistakable with his garishly dyed hair that screamed for attention, wearing a t-shirt that read "boy." He walked toward me with a slanted smirk. "Emma, I heard you've liked me for a long time. Well, I'm here to grant your wish. From now on, you're my girlfriend." I instinctively took a step back, cursing myself internally. This had to be Lily's doing. If I had known, I would never have made that offhand comment back then. Smiling apologetically, I waved my hands. "You must have mistaken me for someone else. I don't like you. Please don't come looking for me again." I tried to leave, but he blocked my way back to campus. "You think you can mess with me? I've already bragged to everyone that I've got a girlfriend at Tsinghua. You don't have a choice here. You agree or you agree." Thankfully, his loud voice drew the attention of the campus security guards, giving me a chance to escape. Back at my dorm, I made some inquiries about Lily. What I found out was beyond shocking. A friend from high school couldn't stop gossiping. Jason scored in the 400s and ended up following Lily to some private art school. Seriously, where can I find a struck fool like that? I blinked in disbelief. And how are they doing now? Leaning closer to her screen during our video call, my friend gleefully continued. Guess what? Even though Jason got skin grafts, he still only has one arm. People at their school joke that Lily's dating a one-armed young gua. They say he doesn't even need a disguise to act in period dramas. She laughed, but Lily's no angel either. Rumor has it she's been fooling around with several guys in her class. After hanging up, I pieced together the situation. Lily must have vented her dissatisfaction with Jason to her ex, who then latched onto my offhand joke about liking him. Realizing I was a Tsinghua student, he saw an opportunity and ran with it. First, I decided to ignore the whole mess, but 2 weeks later he sent me a text threatening, "If you don't agree, I'll make sure everyone at your school knows your name." The next day, as I entered my lecture hall, his multicolored hair stood out like a sore thumb among the crowd. To my dismay, the elderly professor, known for being welcoming to anyone interested in his lectures, allowed him to stay on the condition that he didn't disrupt the class. By the third interruption, however, the professor had had enough. "Young man, which department are you from?" Sweat beaded on my palms. The guy lazily stood up, his face oozing arrogance. "I'm not a student here," he said, gesturing toward me with his chin. "I'm Emma's boyfriend, just here to accompany her to class." The room erupted in murmurs. My face flushed crimson as any attempt to explain was drowned out by the students' reactions. After class, the professor pulled me aside. "This is your warning. It won't happen again, will it?" Back at my dorm, I sent Lily a photo of her ex-boyfriend and texted, "If you don't deal with this, I'll send this picture to Jason." Lily called me immediately, laughing as if none of it mattered. "Emma, so that bastard found you, huh? You should be grateful. This is your lucky break." Clenching my teeth, I snapped, "Stop with the nonsense." She chuckled. Go ahead, send it to Jason. Honestly, I've been wondering how to break up with him anyway. Though I had expected as much, I still asked, why? Jason lost his arm because of you. I reminded her. Because of me? She screeched, her voice suddenly high-pitched. If he hadn't been dragging me so tightly, I wouldn't have fallen in the first place. It's his fault he couldn't get us out. I had to endure skin grafts because of him. Her rant strangely soothed my earlier frustration. So Jason and Lily weren't living a fairy tale life after all. This was the reality of Jason's unforgettable love. True to his word, Lily's ex made me infamous across campus. He even somehow got a hold of my class schedule, showing up uninvited to multiple lectures. Finally fed up, I decided to confront him. His demands were simple and absurd. Be my girlfriend, have my child. My family needs someone with brains like yours. I laughed in disbelief. Why on earth would I do that? I don't even know your name. You don't need to, he said smugly, leaning against the wall. If you don't agree, I've got plenty of time to mess with you. You don't want to get expelled from your precious university, do you? When I stayed silent, he slipped a room key into my hand. Think it over. You know where to find me. I waited for him, but instead of engaging further, I reported him to the police and released the recording publicly. The creep was dealt with by the authorities and never showed up again. With the misunderstanding cleared, I could finally walk with my head held high. Perhaps feeling guilty about the earlier incident, the professor offered me an opportunity to accompany him to an off-campus lecture. While the role didn't bring any direct benefits, I knew this professor was a highly regarded, well-compensated hire at our university. Building a connection with him would be invaluable for my plans to pursue graduate studies. Of the lecture, I was excited beyond words. The professor even allowed me to speak briefly during the event. This is one of the most resilient students I've met, he said, introducing me. I hope all of you can find the same determination to excel. As I stood before the audience, reflecting on the vast difference between my previous life and this one, I felt a rush of emotion. Tears welled up in my eyes, but just as I glanced toward the crowd, I spotted Jason sitting there, and for a moment I froze. It was only for a moment, though. I had more important matters to focus on. When the professor invited me to say a few words, I delivered them with precision and poise. After the lecture ended, Jason didn't leave. The professor had gone off to discuss matters with the university leadership, leaving just Jason and me in the auditorium. He looked at me, hesitating as if he wanted to step onto the stage, but he couldn't seem to take that first step. The stage was only about a meter high, yet in that moment, the gap between us felt insurmountable. I realized he was looking at me the way I had once looked at him in my past life, with a longing that knew no bounds. After a brief pause, I walked off the stage and greeted him with composure. It's been a while. Is there something you wanted to say? Compared to my calm demeanor, Jason seemed awkward and uneasy. His prosthetic arm, now completed, was partially hidden beneath his sleeve, only a few fingers visible. The Jason of this life had lost all his sharp edges in just a year. His once proud demeanor was nowhere to be found. You've done really well, Emma, he said softly. I nodded. Thank you. There was no shame in my achievements, even if they were built on the lessons of past pain. Jason suggested a walk around campus, and I agreed. As we strolled, I noticed the occasional unfriendly stares he received. I overheard people calling him One-Armed Yang, a nickname he must have grown used to. Each time he heard it, his fist clenched and then relaxed, the motion repeating over and over. You're doing well too, I said, changing the subject. Where's Lily? Why isn't she with you? He gave a bitter laugh. We broke up, Emma. She said I deserved to lose my arm and that she couldn't stay tied to me forever. His eyes were devoid of light, his whole being shrouded in a kind of bleakness. Do you think that's true? He asked. I just wanted to get her out of there. I gave up retaking the exams, gave up the major I loved, all for her. You heard them, didn't you? They call me Yua because of my arm. I felt no sympathy. Compared to what I had endured in my past life, his suffering was nothing. What about Lily? What's she doing now? I asked. He laughed bitterly again. She's with the principal's nephew, some rich kid. Did you see the Ferrari parked outside the school gate? That's probably hers. As he spoke, tears welled up in his eyes. Emma, did I make the wrong choice? Maybe I should have listened to my mom and retaken the exams. His despair didn't move me. If anything, I found it ironic. He has their own destiny. I replied this was the path Jason had chosen for himself. Once I had been his choice too, but he hadn't been satisfied. As I turned to head back to school, Jason called out to me again. He hesitated for a long time before finally speaking. Emma, we're still childhood friends, right? I didn't answer. Hearing those words from him made my skin crawl. In my past life, I had sacrificed far too much for the sake of being his childhood friend. He gave a bitter smile. Chingwa must be amazing. If there's a chance, can you show me around someday? I shook my head and used his own words from our past life. The campus is so big. If you get lost, I won't be able to find you. Without waiting for his response, I walked away. I had responsibilities to attend to as class president, as well as preparations for the CT6 English exam. My schedule was full, and my future was bright. Everyone has their own destiny. At this moment, I felt as though I could already glimpse mine. My best days were still ahead.